Okay, Gina, it's been a really big year, and I know in many ways we're eager to put it behind us. But before we do, I think there's also just so much to celebrate from the incredible work that you've done and your team has done and the community has done. So um, maybe we just try to take 30 seconds and just name some of the key highlights and milestones of the year. Okay.
Right. So 30 seconds. It might be a little more than 30 seconds, but just to think about March 13th, 2020, the end of last school year, we distributed devices across the entire district for every student, thanks in large part because of the foundation and the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. We went into summer knowing if and when we could be open, not knowing actually if we could open up. And so we established a reopening committee to just try to think about what are the prospects and plan accordingly, knowing too that, you know, our county, our positivity rate in East Palo Alto was 3 times that of the county. So we started the dialogue and worked together to consider how to move forward.
Yeah.
And we met multiple times a week to figure this out.
I remember I got to be part of that committee with teachers and parents and other community-based organizations and district staff. And I know we were wrestling with all kinds of things. And when we decided to stay remote, it was a pretty big deal. It was right around that time that you brought on Will Eager, the new CBO, Chief Business Officer, right?
Yeah, and from the start, he helped us tremendously in figuring out how to allocate appropriately our COVID response dollars. And fortunately, we were able to launch our learning hubs and get that off the ground. We knew that all of our students needed some form of support, you know, and this at least allowed us to be able to provide services to those families most in need. And so we work closely with the Boys and Girls Club, East Palo Alto Tennis and Tutoring, the 49ers Academy to be able to launch learning hubs so that kids would have a safe, supervised place to sign on for instruction.
Yeah, those learning hubs made a really big difference for families and also to get kids online for their instruction, right? At the same time, I know that was right around when the REF community provided a backpack for every child to have developmentally appropriate school supplies, whether they were in a learning hub or home, learning from homes, they would have that. Okay,
Yeah.
so you launched learning hubs, got that going. Simultaneously, then you were working on remote instruction and preparing to open, you know, at a moment's notice when the case counts changed, right?
Yeah, and we still had work to do. Like, even though we wanted to make sure kids and families and staff were safe, our job is to educate and make sure students are receiving, you know, appropriate instruction, rigorous instruction. And so we continued on providing professional development and coaching for our teachers as they too were learning a new skill on teaching remotely. And we really worked on learning how to engage students remotely. We provided tech support for families through street code and all while monitoring the COVID context, of course, and constantly evaluating when we could bring our babies back on campus.
Yeah. So doing that dual work of teaching and supporting teachers to teach in a remote context and constantly planning and evaluating for coming back on campus, that is a lot that you did this fall.
Yeah, and don't forget, we started regular COVID testing at all of our schools too. And, you know, while distributing breakfast, lunch, supper to any child under 18 in the entire East Palo Alto, Eastern Menlo Park community. And also REF did the holiday toy drive and every parent got to pick out a brand new toy to give to their child. So even the basic needs across our community were met.
Oh, it gives me chills to hear you talk about all of those different initiatives and pieces that you were doing to meet the needs of the whole child and the whole family in the Ravenswood School District. Okay, fast forward January, that's when you started to have classes coming back on campus, right?
Yeah, we had our TK and yeah, we started with our transition kindergarten with Mr. G's class, and then we grew to kindergarten. And then we took a moment and got all of our staff vaccinated, thanks to the work of the San Mateo County Office of Ed. And then we started ourselves hosting vaccine clinics in partnership with the County of San Mateo and the City of East Palo Alto and Menlo Park. And then after that, we started growing classroom by classroom until we were able to offer in-person learning to every child who wanted to come. And by May 4th, we were able to make that happen. So we currently have about 60% of our students who've opted in. And we plan to have 100% of our students back on campus next year. So we're very excited, with extended day even.
That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So I know we've probably exceeded our 30 seconds that I promised you would keep to. But I know we've also only just scratched the surface of all of the incredible work you've done this year. Any other little highlights, milestones you want to make sure we celebrate and name before we close the year?
I think we need to acknowledge the fact that we have a strong governance team, and we welcomed 3 new courageous and thoughtful school board members in the fall. We provided over 1 million meals across our community. We were fortunate to receive stimulus funds from the government, and so we're working strategically with the Ravenswood Education Foundation to develop a budget for next year that we believe will really move the needle and address the impact the pandemic, the impact of the pandemic has had on our students. We're about to launch one of our largest summer school programs ever, with over 1/3 of our students participating in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. And so we're very excited to be able to have that program in person and in a sense, launch the work that we want to take off and run with for the fall.
Well, I hope that with summer school, I know with summer school just around the corner and a big year ahead, I also just hope you get some time this summer to celebrate your accomplishments, that the team gets to celebrate, and also get some time to recharge. You really deserve it.
Thank you, Jenna, and thank you to the entire REF community. We could not have done this without your support. And here we are together as one Ravenswood. So thank you for everything.
Thank you, Gina.